I never thought I'd be sharing this story, but I need to get it off my chest, and maybe get some advice on how to fix the mess I've created. I'm 29, and until recently I thought I had everything figured out. My husband and I had been married for 4 years, together for 6, and we were planning to start our family this year. We met during our college days. I was studying business management while he went on to complete his degree in finance. We had what I considered a perfect marriage. Both our families adored us, and we had mapped out our future together, dreaming of having 3 kids and growing old side by side. Looking back, I can pinpoint exactly where things started to unravel, and it all began with Alex. Alex was a sales representative who visited our office regularly. He was around my age, charming, and we clicked instantly. What started as friendly chats during his visits gradually evolved into something more. We'd talk about everything: movies, books, our dreams, and I found myself looking forward to his visits more than I should have. One day, Alex took a chance and told me he felt a connection between us. When he admitted he would have asked me out if I wasn't married, I should have shut it down immediately. Instead, I told him I felt the same way. After that conversation, things became awkward between us, but the damage was done. I couldn't stop thinking about him. I started researching open marriages online, telling myself it was just curiosity. I came across stories of couples who claimed to have successful open marriages, particularly one that caught my attention. It was about a woman who simply asked her husband about opening their marriage, and to her surprise, he agreed. They supposedly became happier than ever. One lazy Sunday morning, while we were both scrolling through our phones, I casually brought up the topic of open marriages. My husband's initial reaction was exactly what I expected: disgust. He said people should just get divorced if they want to be with other people. I quickly changed the subject, but the seed was planted. A few weeks later, after an intimate evening, he suddenly asked me who I had in mind when I brought up open marriages. I tried to deflect, but he knew me too well. He could tell I was hiding something. Eventually, I admitted there was someone at work, though I didn't share the full extent of my feelings for Alex. That's when my husband introduced me to the term emotional affair. I'd never heard of it before, but as I researched it that night, unable to sleep, I realized that's exactly what I had been having with Alex. The guilt hit me hard, but what happened next caught me completely off guard. A few days later, my husband announced he'd be willing to try an open marriage. He laid out 3 simple rules. We had to tell each other who we planned to meet beforehand, share that we had met them after, without details, and always use protection. When I suggested we keep it private and promise it wouldn't destroy our marriage, he refused both conditions. Something felt off about his sudden change of heart, but I was too caught up in the possibility of exploring things with Alex to see the warning signs. I tried to ignore the open marriage option for a month, keeping my distance from Alex at work. But when he asked what was wrong and why I'd been distant, I made the decision that would change everything. I asked him to meet for drinks after work. Meeting Alex at the bar that evening changed everything. We sat on the patio enjoying the warm spring breeze, and I told him about my open marriage. He seemed excited but not surprised, as if he had been waiting for this moment. We made plans to meet at his place the next day after work. That night, I told my husband about my plans with Alex. His reaction was strange. He just said okay in a flat voice and went to his home office to work. When I tried to cuddle with him in bed later, he said he was too tired. The next morning, he was gone before I woke up, leaving just a text about an early meeting. Throughout the day, I barely heard from him, which was unusual. Finally, around 4 p.m., he sent a text saying he loved me and would see me that night. I took it as his final approval. Looking back, I should have noticed something wasn't right. My time with Alex was fine. Nothing extraordinary, definitely not worth what I was risking. It felt empty compared to being with my husband. I left after about an hour, got home, showered, and started preparing a special dinner. I wanted to show my husband that he was still my priority, that this thing with Alex meant nothing. But he didn't come home. My calls went straight to voicemail. Around 9:30 p.m., he texted saying not to wait up. When I asked where he was, he didn't respond. I fell asleep on the couch sometime after midnight, only to wake up to the sound of our guest bathroom shower running. When he came out, he asked about my evening with Alex, then told me he'd been out dancing. I could smell perfume on his clothes. When I asked who he was with, he said since they didn't sleep together, he didn't need to tell me. Then he dropped the bomb. He would be sleeping in the guest room and wouldn't come near me until I had 2 STD tests done. I was shocked. We had used protection, and this wasn't part of our agreement. He just coldly said he was worried about oral infections and called it his version of social distancing. When I suggested closing our marriage, his response chilled me. No way. You had your turn. Now I'm having mine. The next few days were torture. He would leave before I woke up and come home after midnight. My calls and texts went unanswered. I felt like I was losing my mind. I called Alex and met him one last time to end things. He asked for one more hookup, which turned out to be mechanical and emotionless. Before I left, he looked at me with disgust and said, "I'll never understand women like you." I spent that night crying, realizing I had destroyed my marriage for nothing. My husband continued his pattern of late nights and early mornings. The distance between us was unbearable. I missed our morning coffees, our evening walks, our random conversations about nothing important. Everything that made our marriage special was gone. That Saturday morning, I woke up early and waited for him in the kitchen. When he came down, I sat in his lap and made him look at me. I told him I loved him and that I had made a terrible decision. Not a mistake, a decision. I begged him to tell me if he still loved me. His response, "I don't know." That's when I lost it. I accused him of setting me up for divorce. He admitted that as soon as I brought up open marriage, he knew our marriage was probably over. When I asked why he didn't just demand I end things with Alex, his words cut deep. You can't force someone to be faithful. You either are or you're not, and you're obviously not a monogamous person. The next day was Easter Sunday, and we were supposed to visit my parents. He refused to come with me to my parents' house. When I asked what I should tell them, he coldly said, "Tell them the truth." I begged him to stay home with me if he wouldn't go, but he just packed a gym bag and left. I drove to my parents' house alone, making up a story about him having a work emergency. Throughout the day, I pretended to text with him, acting like everything was normal to avoid ruining the holiday. But my family could tell something was wrong. They know me too well. The next morning, I finally told them everything. It went exactly as badly as I expected. My parents were furious, saying they didn't raise me to behave this way. They called my younger sister over, and she joined in telling me how disappointed she was. I just sat there crying, telling them I knew how terrible my actions were and that I was focused on winning back my husband's trust. When I got home that evening, I found a note saying he'd gone to visit his parents in Arizona and wouldn't be back until the following Sunday. We had planned to visit them together next month, and now that was ruined too. The guilt was overwhelming. That was 9 months ago. We're divorced now. It was finalized in January. He said he couldn't stay married to someone who had been with another man, that he needed to divorce me to regain his self-respect. I tried to explain that nobody except our families knew about Alex, that he hadn't lost anyone's respect, but his mind was made up. But here's where it gets complicated. We started seeing each other again on Valentine's Day this year. It's been amazing, honestly better than when we first got together 8 years ago. The catch? He's made it clear this is just physical, that we'll never live together or get married again. I tell myself I'm okay with this arrangement, but deep down I want more. I still dream of having his children. I've even thought about how we could co-parent without being married. I know it sounds crazy, and I would never trick him into it, but I can't imagine having children with anyone else. I see him about once a week, whenever he wants to meet. Each time, I hope he'll see that we could be great together again, that I've learned from my mistake and would never betray him again. Alex was never more than a stupid fantasy that I let destroy something real and precious. Some friends tell me I should move on, find someone new who wants the same things I do. They say I'm wasting my time hoping my ex-husband will change his mind. Maybe they're right, but every time I think about dating someone else, I remember what we had and what I threw away. I keep asking myself, am I crazy for holding on to this hope? Should I accept that our marriage is truly over and try to build a new life with someone else? Or should I keep trying to show him that people can learn from their mistakes, that sometimes what's broken can be rebuilt into something even stronger? I don't know what the future holds, but I do know one thing. I've learned the hard way that grass isn't greener on the other side. Sometimes it's just artificial turf that looks good from a distance, but feels fake when you finally get there. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this story, please hit that subscribe button to help us reach our goal of 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with friends or family who might enjoy it too. Your support means a lot. And if you have any thoughts, questions, or story ideas, drop them in the comments below. I'd love to hear from you. See you in the next story.